I'm joined now by Maine's independent senator, Angus King, who serves also on the Intelligence Committee, which is much in the news these days. Thanks for joining me. What do you make of the president changing gears on Obamacare?
Well, it's political and policy malpractice, Ari. Number one, he's talking about, well, he's not going to give us a plan, but the Department of Justice is still in court asking the judicial system to declare the whole law unconstitutional and throw the whole thing out. So that's the play right now is they want to eliminate the Affordable Care Act entirely, and the admission today is we don't have a plan for what to do. And what really bothers me about this isn't a political issue. This is a people issue. I've got 70,000 people in Maine on the Obamacare exchanges. I've got another 70,000 who are about to become eligible for Medicaid expansion. That's a lot of people in my state. These are real lives at stake. And for him to now say, well, we're going to have this beautiful, wonderful plan that's going to lower premiums and lower deductibles, but I'll tell you what it is after the election. Ari, I'm old enough to remember Richard Nixon's secret plan to end the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War ended 7 years after his election. I don't buy this secret, invisible plan.
Senator,
I want to see it now.
Senator, I'm old enough to remember studying Richard Nixon in school.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
But I take your point about these kind of kick the can down the road promises. You said this affects real people. We don't usually bring up people's medical conditions, but since you brought it up on behalf of the law, I thought that was quite interesting, and I want to share this in case you want to expound upon it. I'm reading from something you wrote where you said, if it weren't for insurance through the ACA and a great team of doctors, I'm not sure I'd have this story to tell. Speaking about your battle with cancer, walk us through why, as a politician, that you wanted to share that, what that means to you.
Well, because insurance saves lives, and I've actually had 2 brushes with cancer in my life. The first one was about 40 years ago, and because I had insurance that happened to have as part of it a free checkup, I went in for my free checkup. They discovered I had something called malignant melanoma. I had surgery, and here I am 44 years later. A very similar thing happened on a routine checkup, and discovered that I had prostate cancer. If I hadn't had those checkups, which, by the way, free checkups are part of the Affordable Care Act, if I hadn't had those checkups, I wouldn't be here. I mean, cancer is a treatable disease, but only if it's caught in time. And there are numerous studies and statistics that show that the more people who have insurance, you cut premature mortality. I mean, this is very real to me, and it's real to my people in Maine.
Yeah. And you're keeping it real. I mean, this is very important for us to remember what goes on in that building where you are, where you exert this national legislative power, affects people's lives. As you say, if, in your view, the president is basically being political about Obamacare or healthcare, ACA, whatever people want to call it, that is a long ways from the obligation to look after people's public health and safety. While I have you, as I mentioned, on intelligence, I did want to get your response on another big issue. Take a listen to Jared Kushner here, who has been right in the bullseye of a nepotistic national security clearance scandal that now has widened to over 24 Trump aides. Take a listen.
We've had a lot of crazy accusations, like that we colluded with Russia. I complied with all the different investigations, whether it be the Senate, the House, the special counsel. I've sat for nearly 20 hours of interviews with them.
What is your view of the security clearance issue? Do you see it as over with regard to him? He makes the point that he did cooperate lawfully. The probe ended without any, charge against him or his family or anything like that. Go ahead.
It's apples and oranges. The problem with his security clearance, as I understand it, was contact with foreign governments that may have had nothing to do with Russia. The same thing. Here's the problem, Ari. We're not looking, when you do a security clearance, it's very unlikely that you're going to find somebody who's a spy. What you're looking for is something in their personal life, a great deal of debt, a marital infidelity, something that can be used, or contact with foreign governments or officials, any of which can be used to blackmail the person and turn them into an agent. That's what the security process looks at. And we've learned over the weekend that from a career professional that 25 people in this White House, basically they overrode the recommendations of the professionals, gave out the security clearances anyway. And listen, I met with a group of bankers today. banks all over the country are being they're being attacked all the time by hackers, and the White House is the central place to try to attack our country. There was just someone arrested at Mar-a-Lago today with malware on a thumb drive. So this is not an insignificant concern. And I heard this morning somebody said, well, it was a custodian. A custodian might find things in the trash can or see something on a desk that they take a picture of. The point is, this is the highest level of national security in our country at the White House, and it's not something to be just blown by because you like the person or they're nice guys or they worked in your campaign.
Right. Well, you lay out the stakes pretty well, and I know that's a big issue on the Intelligence Committee. Senator Angus King, thanks for coming on the beat tonight, sir.
Thanks, Ari. Always good to be with you.